Let's do it.
We are the New York Knicks. I'm back. Back in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 617. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
Good. Well, not good. The Knicks lost and everything sucks. But I had a theory I want to kind of run by you. This is not Knicks related, but I was staying for the show, Jay. Is it okay if I stay for the show?
Yeah, let's just start a Knicks show without talking about the Knicks.
It's okay. Okay. It relates to the Knicks.
Okay.
So if you remember, Carmelo Anthony wanted to be a Knick. And what was your biggest gripe about Melo when he became a Knick? I'm not talking about his play on the floor. Your biggest gripe was what, Jay?
That he didn't wait 3 months to join a free agency.
Okay. Well, what if you're a player and your contract is not up anytime soon? What do you do? If you're a star player, how do you get to a new team without the Carmelo Anthony conundrum of kind of basically having that new team give up all their assets to get you? What do you do, Jay?
Are you saying there's years left on the contract?
Yeah, I'm saying multiple years left on the contract, a star player, huge trade value. What do you got to do? You gotta tank your trade value, right?
Yeah. I might. I think I know where you're going with this. And,
Where do you think I'm going, Jay?
Does it involve going live on Instagram?
Keep flashing a gun on Instagram until you have no trade value and you could go to a new team without them giving up almost any assets and get the hell out of Memphis.
Just keep saying, I'll do it again, bitch.
You don't have to force a trade. No one has to look at you and be like, it's a bad guy because I'm forcing a trade. I'm just going to keep flashing that piece until I'm out. It's like it's a piece to Memphis. Anyway, Knicks lost in a heartbreaker. So I'll tell you this. I was watching the game, like you were watching the game, Jay. I was watching at home. And my son, who I took to one game, I had him watch I got him. He doesn't love watching. Like, he likes going to the game with me, but he doesn't love watching the games with me on TV. But he was watching the game 6 with me almost the entire game. Made me very happy. But near the end, he was getting tired. He's like, I just want to go to bed. And when the Knicks kind of went down by a bunch of points at the end in the fourth quarter, he's like, "Is it over?" I'm like, "It's over. It's over. It's go to bed. Go to bed." So he goes upstairs, and then Brunson gets the foul on Brunson, the flagrant foul on Brunson. And I'm like, Zach, get back down here. He comes back down. And I'm like, and he's like, what? I'm like, the Knicks have a chance. And then Brunson turns the ball off and over immediately. I'm like, okay, go back upstairs. We're good.
Yeah, that was, I thought it was over like a half hour before that. They came storming back. It was, you're like, they actually have a chance. They might do this. And I honestly feel like if it goes the same game 7, they're going to win the series.
Yeah, it was kind of the opposite of game 5 in the sense of game 5, the Miami, like, they were out to a 10-point lead in the first quarter, and you were like, this is over. And then the Knicks obviously won the next 3 quarters, pretty much the reverse. Knicks played great in the first quarter, and then they stopped playing great the rest of the way. Well, Jalen Brunson was great the whole game, but the rest of the Knicks couldn't play.
They had a chance to win at the very end, and then Grimes gets an air ball, which was pretty anticlimactic. Also, shout out to the refs who admitted that they blew 3 calls all in favor of the Heat in the last 2 minutes. That's not important at all in a 4-point game.
I have to say, I hate the 2-minute report. All it points out is mistakes that were made, that there'll be no consequences for it, and just to make a fan base even angrier.
Right. It's like, oh, just in case you had any suspicions that the refs did a bad job, here's proof. But
I have a couple questions. I have a couple questions for you from the game.
Yep.
First off, when Barrett got to the free throw line 4 times in the first quarter and went 8 for 8 from the free throw line, how were you feeling at that point? Did you think the game was a lock?
No, I never think it's a lock with the Knicks. But
You didn't feel pretty good when he got 8 free throws in the first goddamn quarter?
I did feel very good. I would never say a lock when it comes to the Knicks.
Okay. Okay. But I felt pretty good. Also, jumping ahead to the end of the game, do you think Brunson did not pass to a wide open Josh Hart because he had zero faith in Josh Hart hitting that shot, or did he not see Josh Hart there?
I couldn't tell if he was in a lot of traffic. I couldn't tell if it was that or he was just like, I'd rather shoot it into 3 defenders rather than pass it to Hart. I have a feeling he couldn't see them because Hart was 5 for 10. I mean, in the game,
He was wide open.
and he was wide open. I think Brunson dribbled a little closer into traffic than he was expecting, and just couldn't get out of it.
I think it got to the point in the game where Brunson had zero faith in the rest of his teammates and was like, I have to get this basket myself, and I will only give up the ball when I really have to. And by the time he made the decision he had to pass the ball, it was over.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I mean, Brunson though, it was amazing the entire playoffs. I mean, just what a performance! If there was any doubts about whether you could win with Brunson, those are over. There's doubts if you could win with literally anybody else on this roster, but the Brunson doubts are over.
Before moving on to like Brunson or just after game activity, before moving past the game, were you upset with Tibbs for not calling a timeout? And the Knicks end the game with a timeout. I think Tibbs is planning to use that timeout sometime in July. But do you think he should have used that timeout before that play? Down 2 points. Do you call a timeout?
What's the point? He has no plays.
Tibbs, why didn't you call a timeout and draw something up?
Tiana said the extender failed us, which I got excited when I saw the extender assigned to the game. Scott Foster
really
usually
did.
extends every series, and exact opposite. He was pretty biased in favor of the Heat this time. I don't know what was going on.
I mean, the Knicks shot more free throws, but I felt the calls really after that first quarter were heavily in favor of the Heat.
Yeah, me too. It was almost like they realized, oh, we're going too far in the first quarter, and then they reversed for like the rest of the game.
Do you think Tibbs' biggest mistake in the game was taking Brunson off the court for 3 minutes?
I thought his biggest mistake was actually, you're not going to believe it coming from me, but taking Obi out and then not putting him back in for a quarter and a half. Like, he was playing really well.
Obi's defense is still mixed.
It's at this point, was Randall's any better?
No, Toppin hit 2 important threes in the game. But I can understand the coach not having a lot of faith in Toppin there also.
Yeah, but Randall was terrible, and he's been terrible for the whole playoffs. So...
Randall was terrible. He was garbage. He did get, in his defense, he got a bunch of rebounds, hit a bunch of free throws, got 2 block shots. He was getting some effort on defense.
It's on and off. I mean, there was still plays where he was just like kind of meandering around.
Do you think if Brunson does not leave the game, the Knicks win?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, he came out of the game, and I mean, he was a +3 when he was on the court, -7. I mean, McBride, who played those 3 minutes, was a -7. Knicks literally like won it. The Heat went on like a 10-0 run the moment he left the game.
I mean, that is a good point.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was Tibbs was like worried about foul trouble, but 3 minutes after that, he's like, okay, you got to go back in the game. I think Tibbs panicked because he was like, I can't play Brunson. By the way, I owe Jay a burger because I said Brunson was going to play all 48 minutes, and I was wrong. But I think Tibbs panicked. He was like, I got to get Brunson out of the game because he has 3 fouls. He also ended the game with only 4 fouls. He panicked and then realized right away how dumb of a move it was and just put him back in the game. If you're really worried about fouls, you take the guy out for like 10 minutes, not 3 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't blame the game on Brunson only playing 45 minutes. I mean,
I think if Brunson plays 48 minutes, the Knicks win the whole series.
Yeah,
I think that's the difference in the series.
If Grimes doesn't go 1 for 6, or Barrett doesn't go 1 for 10, or Randall doesn't go 3 for 14.
Yeah, fine. Either Brunson plays 48 minutes, Or you could blame it on the entire rest of the team being complete garbage.
Or I don't know, the starting center would play 25 minutes, scores more than 2 points.
You could also blame it on the fact that Brunson had 14 field goals and the entire rest of the team had 13 field goals.
Yeah.
Usually one player should not have more field goals than the entire rest of the team.
It's so frustrating because they were so close to the conference finals, but then you're like, do they even deserve to be in the conference finals with one guy playing well?
Okay, Jay, shut the hell up. Yeah.
I
You
mean,
get there, you get there.
Yes, I would have been super
deserve-
happy, but like, it's kind of like it's ridiculous to even think like they were like one basket away from the conference finals with nobody playing well except Brunson.
Do you know what the San Antonio Spurs today got the #1 pick in the draft? Do they deserve that? Every time they tank, they get Tim Duncan or Wembanyama. We're talking about deserve.
You know how I feel about the draft. I think everybody should have even odds. I think it's ridiculous that you can do a bad job and or purposely be bad and then get rewarded. I don't like it at all.
The basketball gods tonight took a piss on the Knicks. Dallas, who had like a 20% chance of moving back in the draft, of course, did not move back in the draft. The Knicks do not have a draft pick this year. Be nice to have a draft pick this year, but next year they'll get a pick that's like one of the 20s.
Where are they going to get minutes?
Where are they get the minutes?
If you draft somebody with the rotation's locked up, the Knicks won a championship. Where are you going to even fit a draft pick in there? Everyone
anyway,
was so good. There's no minutes for anybody else. You can't even make a trade. There's no minutes.
Are you not annoyed at all that the Spurs got the #1 pick in the draft?
Not really.
They're a goddamn blessed franchise.
They are, but like
Give it to the goddamn Detroit Pistons, who are so goddamn dysfunctional they'll screw up Wembanyama's career. I know the NBA was like, Wembanyama, he's our next star. We need to hand him to Coach Pop because he knows how to take care of him. I think there is no conspiracy theory I buy into besides this one. This is the conspiracy theory I believe of all the conspiracy theories. This is my flat earth. I do not believe there's been a single NBA draft lottery that has not been tampered on.
You might be right. I mean, we usually call it like it's usually a team that loses a superstar and then they win the draft the following year. That's happened like 6 times already.
I was going to send a tweet out this morning saying I guarantee the Spurs get the pick. I didn't send it, whatever. But
you really should have.
It just seems such like an obvious. It's whatever, and the Spurs will get. So also, Wembanyama will be awesome for both games he plays this year. He will not have a career. He'll be injured. He's 7'12", like he's just a giant. I'm sure he'll have injury issues. I don't wish anything bad on him. I just hate when any team in the NBA has luck that the Knicks don't have.
Yeah, and
I'm a bitter fan.
Yeah, the reason I'm not that mad is just that I would have been madder if Charlotte got it because they're just so incompetent. Like I wouldn't feel right them just bungling their way into Wembanyama like that. They don't deserve anything for.
Well, isn't the whole point of giving it to like a bad team so they can figure stuff out, as opposed to the Spurs?
It's
who are
not
like,
figuring anything
ooh,
out.
we took 1 year off of winning. We'll go back to being a champion again.
That's not figuring anything out. That's just like it's a clear #1 pick. They're not figuring anything out. They've missed on like every single draft pick they've ever made. It's
no the Hornets.
They've made some.
They got LaMelo. LaMelo's not so bad. I'll take LaMelo.
Okay, I mean, LaMelo's not so bad is like the best you can say about. Like,
he's pretty good. I mean,
years
they had some problems.
draft picks.
But
I mean, look at their draft history. It's really bad. But anyway,
I'm not gonna. Are you throwing rocks from your glass house, Jay?
Jay Shady says trade proposal: Mitch and D Rose for Jordan Poole. Win-win for both teams.
That's a win for Golden State because they get rid of the horrible contract that is Jordan Poole. How did the Knicks win?
Yeah, Jordan Poole didn't even shoot well, and that's the Knicks' biggest need. And he's not good on defense. The Knicks just got way worse on defense.
So who was it? It was Jordan. It was
Mitch and D Rose for Jordan Poole. No, I don't really like that one.
I wouldn't give up. Like, first of all, I'm only trading. If you're going to trade for Jordan Poole, it's dead weight. I want to trade. It has to be only Fournier and Derrick Rose plus Golden State's got to give us a draft pick.
I want a 3 ND, not a 3, not a D.
A no
ND.
3 and no D.
I mean,
The dude
let's
is
just
get-
say
if
he had a bad playoff series and he's good at 3. But the Knicks need a 3 ND.
The Knicks fans are also like, Randall's terrible because he only performs in the regular season. He's terrible in the playoffs. Let's get a guy who's just horrendous in the playoffs. Golden State could barely play Jordan Poole. We're going to trade for him?
Well, Jay Shady says Poole averaged 20 and 5 and played all 82 games.
Right. What about the playoffs? He's been garbage in the playoffs. The contract is looking terrible. He's going to get $30 million next year. You going for Jordan Poole? I mean, his regular season numbers look great. So do Randall's. We all want to trade Randall.
So do you want to trade Randall?
We're going to get there? We're going to start there?
I mean, it's a long summer. Do you want to talk about the game at all, or are you done talking about the game?
I mean, we can move on to the game. We can talk about a lot of things. I thought on a positive note, why don't we talk about? I asked some questions on Twitter. We can go over them. Jalen Brunson, is he a superstar?
He's a superstar with his play on the court.
Well, what else would you be a superstar? He's a superstar because he's a good guy.
No,
he
technically,
he does community
like,
service. What the hell you mean?
Technically, a superstar would be like a household name. Making commercials,
Selling jerseys,
like things like that. Like that's like,
because Ben Simmons sold more jerseys. You'd rather have Ben Simmons?
No, it's not who I'd rather. I mean,
in
my heart, Brunson's a superstar. But I think like if you ask a typical person like who's Jalen Brunson, they still don't know who he is.
Well, Knicks fans know who he is. If you're saying, I don't think my question is he a social media star, Jay? My question is he on the court a superstar? Everyone's been saying for so many years, you don't win in this league without stars. And I guess there is superstar, star, all-star. We've had Julius Randle's an all-star at this point, 2-time all-star. But people said that's not good enough. We're not going to win with Randle's your number one guy. We need a true star, maybe a superstar. It all depends on how you define those things. How do you define a superstar, Jay?
Right.
Without talking about their goddamn jersey sales.
Tayana said Jalen is a superstar in New York City, and he's just a guy to NBA casuals.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, he hasn't been doing it that long, and that does hold him back as far as name recognition.
So I was looking at one of the crappy ESPN shows, and this is going to shock you, but they were gushing over Jimmy Butler, and they said, oh yeah, it was one of their articles. They're like 5-on-5 that you have to pay for now. And
Jay pays for them now. Just admit it, Jay.
I did the Hulu Disney package, and so it comes with ESPN Plus.
Jay pays for ESPN Plus. Okay, go on.
I
You've
did
been making
all
fun
for
of ESPN Plus for
Plus,
so many years.
and,
go on, Jay.
Hulu and Disney was just a bonus. I did it all for the ESPN.
You just did it for ESPN Plus to read the 5-on-5 article. Go on.
So they were saying who is the MVP of the playoffs, and two of them picked Butler, and they said he's been the best player in the playoffs, the entire playoffs. I mean, he wasn't even the best player in that series.
No, I mean Brunson had a better series,
yeah.
But Butler won the series. So
I mean, the Heat won the series. You can't say Butler won the series. Butler was
no, but Butler was on the winning team, and in the series on the Heat, he probably was the best player of the Heat in the series.
I would argue it was Bam.
Bam was pretty awesome, also, but I'd say Butler was the better player of all them.
I mean, like I would say Booker has been outplaying Butler.
I mean, you're going to talk about losers?
Jokic
is good chance of going to the finals. I don't know who's been the best player in the playoffs. Jokic's up there. Booker was really awesome until the last game. Tatum showed up in Game 7 and had 51 points.
Yeah,
he was goddamn awesome.
Points, yeah.
Brunson was pretty darn awesome in the playoffs. It depends. Some people will say superstar is just like the top 5 players in the league. And if you want to say that, Brunson's not a superstar. But I think by any definition of a star, he's basically there. He's a guy that when time counts, when it counts in the playoffs, he steps up. He stepped up last year. He was goddamn awesome this year. And I feel like the Knicks have found a guy who's like, we got one star. Probably could use another, but we got one of the two stars we need.
There's not many players that can make the series that close when that many players are playing bad. I mean,
Yeah.
Booker went gangbusters and they got stomped by Denver because Durant wasn't that good. Or like, look at all the teams, the closeout games. Like Philly got blown out, Phoenix got blown out. Like
A lot of guys the Knicks fans are clamoring for us to trade for, like Embiid, played terrible when their team got beat. Brunson was pretty damn awesome.
Golden State got blown out. Like
Yeah.
the Knicks barely lost. I'm happy with that. I mean, I'm pissed they didn't make the conference finals, but I'm glad they went out fighting and they made it a game to the very end instead of rolling over like those other teams. Like those teams were like, oh, we're down. Like my mind's already on vacation.
Brunson, I mean, some of the critiques people have made about why like Brunson's not a superstar is he's only done it really 1 year where he's the main guy. You got to do it longer to be a superstar.
Yeah, but he was like 1A in Dallas. Like
No, he was great in Dallas.
he was
Dallas
playing
playoffs.
like just as good as Luka.
But he wasn't the main guy during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is his first year really emerging.
Yeah.
So people will say he has to do it longer. People have said like, you made to the conference, you made to the semifinals, you got to make it further. There's something, either way, or no matter what you want to say, I feel very comfortable that, first of all, Brunson has clearly surpassed Julius Randle. It is Brunson's team at this point. And I feel very comfortable is that we should build around Brunson. And if we have Brunson, we have a shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's like ridiculous to say the Knicks should be back on the conference semifinals next year. It's not ridiculous that we're not that far away from being a contender anymore.
We need a couple shooters. I mean, that was the difference in the series. If the Knicks had a couple like really, really good 3-point shooters, it's a completely different series.
So here's a question for you, Jay. Are the shooting solutions already on the roster?
I don't think so.
I mean, there is an argument. The Knicks everyone else did not have a good playoffs. I mean, Barrett was good for a lot of playoffs. He was terrible last game. But there's an argument that a team is pretty young. The Heat, for instance, just had a lot more experience. This team, if you run it back with more experience, will get better and better. And you don't necessarily you really need to. Can the Knicks run it back? Do the Knicks need to make major changes, or are we closer than we think? It's just a matter of players developing.
See, that's where I'm torn. IQ ended the season on a hot streak. Obviously, he had just a disaster of a playoffs. But career,
I think IQ was like, playoff time to kill my extension. Guys, I don't want you to pay me anything.
Career-wise, though, he has not been a good 3-point shooter. He's had a couple streaks here and there.
In fairness, though, he really stepped up. This is the first year like he really emerged. And obviously, in theory, he can get better and better from here. He was crap in the playoffs, but like I don't know if you can really you can't always look at players' career numbers at this stage in their career. I mean, his year 3 was a lot better than year 1 and 2.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't see him being a consistently good 3-point shooter.
I mean, year 1, didn't he shoot like 39% from 3?
No, I think he was absolutely terrible from 3.
No, I think you're wrong. I thought his year 1's numbers were from 3 weren't that bad. I think it's just like his overall shooting percentage wasn't amazing.
I could see you pulling it up, so I'll let you do that. But I think it was really bad. And I think year 2 was just as bad. I thought it was 32%, like year 1 and year 2.
I think...
And then year 3, I think it was 37%, which is above average, but like barely. So, I mean, I feel like you need somebody in like the 39, 40% range.
Okay, so I'm taking forever to pull this up. Hang on.
It's all right. But anyway.
The best thing for the show is to Google and like pretend Google's really slow. Okay, so year 1. God damn it, I'm having problems with my computer.
That's fine. My other
year 1, his numbers from 3. No, I was right. He shot 39% from 3. He was .389 from 3.
Okay.
He just shot 39% from the field in total.
Yeah, okay.
And this year he was much better from two. Like year one, he was 40% from two, which is terrible. Year two, he was 44% from two, which is again terrible. Year three, he was 52% from two. So he was much better inside the arc this year, which was the biggest jump for him. Year one, he was about 39% from three. Year two, he was 30.346, and year three, this year was 0.37. As long as he's around 37% or higher and he can be above 50% from two, he's a very good player.
Yeah.
Plus his defense he's a pretty good defender.
So you think it was just a bad playoff series and run it back and
I'm saying that what my thought really is 2 years ago, we lost to Atlanta and we said, well, we need a point guard. We need some 3-point shooting. Here's Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. And the whole thing was that we overreacted to the good season. We overreacted to that playoffs. We kind of re-upped everyone we had. We gave out dumb contracts and it was a complete disaster. I am worried about Leon Rose overreacting. I'm not saying he will, but I guess I'm putting the warning out. Please do not overreact to a playoff loss against the Heat. We are a very young team. Usually veteran teams have a better shot in the playoffs. I mean, the Heat, in their defense, or not in defense, what helped the Heat was they knew every goddamn dirty trick in the book to basically help them, give them the edge in the series beyond just hitting the shots. And the Knicks also, I think to a certain extent, like, this team was awesome against Cleveland and just was not very good against Miami. Young players sometimes fall apart. They wilt basically under pressure. Shots aren't falling. I got to say, I think Grimes, I like what I see from Grimes, even though he didn't shoot very well the whole playoffs. I'd roll with Grimes. I don't want to get, I mean, obviously we can upgrade. That's great. But like, I like what I see from Grimes. I like what I see from IQ. At least those two guys, I really like what I've seen. Josh Hart was awesome against Cleveland. He was pretty mediocre or not very good against Miami. I still want to bring him back. And Josh Hart needs to just like start shooting more. I mean, he looks off so many shots. It's so painful. But like,
that might be part of being the new guy on the team.
Yeah, I mean, part of him being the new guy. Though that was one complaint Portland fans had is he looks off too many shots. And sometimes you got to be the guy that just takes the shots.
Well, I you can make the argument that maybe Grimes gets a little more aggressive, IQ gets a little more consistent, maybe Hart doesn't look off as many shots. I still think you need one more shooter on the team. I'm not disagreeing.
I
feel like you need to upgrade the either the Grimes or the McBride minutes. But my main concern is Randall.
I don't think Randall is very easy to completely replace. I know everyone wants to trade Randall. I know we have 2 playoff runs, but he was really not good. He's a 2-time All-Star. His regular season numbers were awesome 2 of the last 3 years. It's hard to. I don't think he's very easy to replace. I'm not saying his contract's not. I don't think his contract is as hard as it is the move from last year. Someone would bite on his contract. His contract's not bad. He obviously put up all-star level numbers. You're not going to get equal return for him. What do you think you're getting for Randall?
I don't know. I mean,
what's a? You don't have to give me a player, but tell me what kind of return do you think? Like, what's reasonable?
Let me just. Okay, so I don't know, Jerian Grant and a draft pick.
Okay, so we're trading Randall for a guy that's might be just as bad in the playoffs. What about Jerian Grant? Do you think he's going to be so awesome? And why is maybe Portland's doing this, maybe they're not doing it, but I don't have a huge amount of faith that Jerian Grant's that awesome either. He's only been on, he was on the Nuggets, but since then he's only been on bad teams.
I don't know. The thing is,
Jeremy Grant, the guy in Portland you're talking about, right?
Yeah, sorry, Jeremy Grant. Yeah, I'm just worried that he looks like he walks around on defense.
Too much. I agree.
I'm getting like Amari vibes where he just gets completely lost and then he kind of just walks around. He seems like he's 2 steps behind on every play. And
I'm convinced that there are issues with Randall, but I think they're hard to solve. I don't think Obi's the answer. I think Obi is just a bench
No,
guy.
I don't either.
No matter
but-
what you're gonna do, he's just like, we are not a solid playoff team if Obi's our starting power forward. I do not believe in him as the answer.
My concern is that, like, okay, you could say RJ was really bad in an elimination game, but he looked
Yes.
like he was trying. Like Randall
Yeah.
just looked like, I'm cranky and I kind of don't want to do this right now.
He did get 2 blocks. He played like he wasn't like
I mean, Amari
You're
got a
acting
lot
like he
of
didn't play
blocks,
defense.
too.
He did.
Amari was like got a ton of blocks. Like that's not an indication of being good on
I'm
defense.
just saying Randall played some defense. I know we found people find clips of him not playing defense, and the blame is right. I almost feel like though I'd like to upgrade Obi with a guy that can maybe challenge Randall for minutes. I don't think it's going to be that easy. I mean, so Grant is one proposal, one guy that maybe Portland does it. Maybe they're like, we just saw what Randall did, so we're just not going to do it.
So Tommy Beer tweeted this. You'll probably find this interesting. Over the last 40 years, there's been 499 players that have started at least 15 plus playoff games and attempted more than 200 field goals in the playoffs.
And Reynolds has the best percentage of everyone. Is that what you're going with?
He is in a category of one. He's the only player to shoot below 35% from the floor and below 30% from three in their entire postseason career.
Is there a chance that in the Atlanta series they figured Randall out and Randall there was no one else in the team that could help him? And is there a chance here that he was injured throughout the entire playoffs and that kind of messed him up?
He looked completely fine against the Heat.
Do you trust an 82 game sample or a 15 game sample, or not 15? Or how many games did the Knicks played? They played 5 and
15
or 11 game sample.
You're not counting the Hawk series?
Oh, okay, 15. Oh, that's why the 15. That's what the 15 number is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, is that 16? They played 5 games against it.
He missed one.
Atlanta.
He missed the
Oh,
first
okay. Okay,
game.
fine. Whatever. All I'm saying is Randall has been good in the regular season.
Mhm.
There's a chance he could be good in the playoffs in the future.
You know who's good in the regular season? James
Who?
Harden. Elite.
And he's so
Elite
good.
in the regular season. One of the best regular season players of all time.
You know who's really good in the regular season? Doc Rivers. He's really good in the regular season also.
You know who's good in the regular season? Chris Paul.
Yes. A lot of players who do not show up in the playoffs are good in the
Embiid
regular
is an
season.
MVP in the regular season.
Yes. And he is a flopping loser in the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna I'm not here to say Randall's awesome. You can't move him. I'm just saying you can't unload him for draft picks. We're in the mode we want to win. I think it's hard to find a new power forward. Grant seems like a reasonable option, but is he an option? We don't really know if he's an option. I don't know. Portland really wants to move on from him. And so outside of that, so let's say Portland's like, no, we like Grant. We're not trading him. What's your next move here? And we don't have a draft pick this year.
Well, according to the sports books, if Randall is not on the Knicks next season, he has the best odds to be on the Nets. He's a plus 300.
According to the sports books, Russell Westbrook is favored to be a Knick next year.
That is also true.
That is the number one, the best, or the bet online at least. They have the best odds for him being on the Knicks. There is no way on God's green earth is Russell Westbrook on the Knicks next year.
Can you imagine
unless Leon Rose goes, I signed Russell Westbrook and I quit in the same sentence.
Can you imagine the Knicks lose because they don't have any outside shooting, and then their big acquisition is one of the worst shooters of all time?
One of the worst outside shooters of all time. Yes, that would be. The Knicks are like they bring back Kemba.
I mean,
there have been some funny takes online also. Like, there are fans clamoring for Alec Burks back. That seemed kind of weird too. If the Knicks fans were dying to get rid of Burks, and now they're like, bring back Burks.
I liked Burks when he was here. My only complaint about was when Burks was playing point guard. When he was playing shooting guard, he was awesome.
No, he was pretty. He's a solid 20-minute off the bench guy.
If the Knicks had Burks, they probably would have won this series.
I don't know. I don't. Maybe
you don't think Burks could have outplayed what IQ did or what Grimes was doing? Like,
He could. I think Burks could have gone 1 for 15. Also, I think he could have missed a bunch of shots. Also,
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks were only a shot or two away from advancing. I think Burks could have hit a shot or two,
I mean that's fair.
or at least spread the floor. Like
I'd be
there was a
totally
couple plays where Brunson's in the middle, and Hart and RJ are on opposite wings, wide open, and they're still going 4 guys guarding Brunson because they know they're gonna miss. They just didn't care. They left those guys wide open. That was their strategy. Pack the paint. Don't let Brunson drive. Brunson still scored a lot considering that was their strategy, but the Knicks wings were open the whole series and they missed them all anyway, which is ridiculous.
Miami had no one else to guard besides Brunson in game 6, and he scored 41 points. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the Knicks need shooting. I agree the Knicks need shooting. I agree you need to do some upgrades. I just think finding a new power forward is not that easy. Will you be comfortable? I guess would you rather have next year your starting power forward be Toppin or Randall?
Randall.
Okay. So you admit Toppin's not the guy. So who else is the guy? Who else are we gonna get? Outside of making a big splash, it's not that easy to find another power forward.
I did not do my offseason research yet.
Okay. I don't think there are a lot of great options that are going to be available.
There
Speaking
might
of
not.
options,
I'm
speaking of
just
guys
thinking
that
like there might be an option to downgrade slightly at power forward in order to upgrade somewhere else. I don't know.
I mean, I guess. I mean, Randall's on a decent contract also. I mean, do you want to turn him like into Tobias Harris? Who I guess is more of a 3 than a 4, or
I mean, Tobias Harris was like the only guy who showed up for a Philly elimination game.
Now, by the way, going to the Nets, I don't know. Do the Nets want Randall? I don't know how much value Randall really has, is the problem also. I would love. Do you think there's any chance in hell the Nets are up for trading
Bridges?
Bridges?
I think only if Bridges says he's not re-signing or he wants out.
Would you give up 3 first-rounders to get him?
Yeah.
And some players?
And Randall, yeah.
Yeah, I would do that.
Or RJ, yeah.
Or RJ. Take whichever you
Or
want.
Grimes. It doesn't matter. Take whoever. As long as it's not Brunson. And I wouldn't trade Hart just because he's Brunson's best friend and you don't want to ruin the chemistry.
So speaking of those guys, first of all, Hart, what do? He wants an extension.
Yeah.
You signing him?
Yeah.
I think you have to, right?
You have a star in Brunson and his best friend's on the team. Like, you don't get rid of his best friend. His best friend's good. It's not like a Jason Smith's brother situation. Like
Chris Smith thing with J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith. Yeah, it's not like that.
No, also, the Knicks were a different team once Hart got here.
Yeah.
He was also awesome in Cleveland series. He just wasn't good in this one series.
Right. I don't think
I
they
like
can
a lot of
judge
the
the
pieces.
Knicks roster by the Heat series, considering the entire team sucked.
Yeah, everyone was bad. So IQ, do you sign him this offseason? So the Knicks have different options they have with IQ. I mean, you can include him in a trade, but you can either extend him this summer or wait till next summer and make him a restricted free agent. What do you do?
So if you lock him in now, after his crappy postseason, you might be able to get him a little cheaper. If he plays really, really well next season, he might cost a lot more a year from now.
Well, the last 2 guys the Knicks have locked up early were Randall and RJ. I have mixed feelings about locking guys up early now.
Yeah. I would say there's no rush and get him next season.
4 years, $64 million. Let's do it. 4 years, 80. Let's see what you do next year.
Yeah.
And Obi, same deal. You could sign him this offseason, or you could wait till next year. What do you think?
Depends on the cost. I mean, you don't want to give too much money for a guy who's only playing backup minutes and basically has no chance of playing over Randall.
I think you don't want to lock him into a contract to make him harder to trade. You got to explore the trade market with a top end. I think you need a better backup. You need a guy that you need a guy that the coach thinks should really challenge Randall for minutes.
Yeah.
Or the coach will feel comfortable leaving him out there longer.
I agree.
And it'd be great if a guy can create his own shot. If he wasn't
Or play defense.
So at the end of the season, Toppin had a little run. He scored a bunch of points. He was more aggressive. He was cutting to the basket. Once the playoffs started, he did none of that.
Right.
I'm kind of done with Toppin. I like him as a player. I think I'm fine with him having played the last game as a Knick.
So, I said you can't go by just the Heat series, but if a player was bad in the Cleveland,
Are you still
and
on
Miami
Are you still on
series-
Randall?
No, but
Okay.
I'm saying,
I get it, Jay. Jay wants to trade Randall. Does anyone? I understand people want to move on from Randall. My all point is, it's not that easy to do. We have to face the reality is that he may not. There's a decent chance he's on the team next year.
He's
Not because
100% on the team next year.
it's not because the team is like we love Randall. It's just you don't want to make the team worse when you move him.
Agreed. But there is addition by subtraction sometimes. But that being
I
said,
mean, he had an all-star season, and like one of the reasons the Knicks won 47 games was because Randall was on the team.
the Knicks aren't trading Randall, so this is a waste of time anyway. The Knicks,
Okay.
they see Randall as like a cornerstone of this team, like it or not. He's on the Knicks. That's it.
Okay, so you're saying someone was bad in the Cleveland series.
Well, yeah, Obi wasn't very good in the Cleveland series. Like,
No, yeah, okay. We're on
I
Obi now?
feel like you can't say the Miami series because then you trade the entire team. But if you say like, okay, now we have like a 10-game sample, that's a little bit more to go on. Because
I
a
just
lot
think-
of guys were cooking in that Cleveland series.
I just think you need to find a place to upgrade the team and top it. We need better. And if you're gonna have Robinson, I mean, so you're gonna have Randall. It'd be good to have a backup who plays better defense
And a better shooter. A 3-and-D.
and a better. It would be good to have like some skills that Randall doesn't have.
Right. Randall's a good rebounder. And sometimes he's a really good passer.
Yeah, sometimes he had actually in the first quarter of the Miami game 6. He had a great pass to RJ. RJ was cutting to the basket. It was an awesome play. I was like, wow, everything's going right tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He did a crazy cross court pass during the Miami series too. It was like, anyway. Yeah. Shimmy saying in the chat, give me Alex Burke back, 40% 3-point shooter.
I mean, if you can get Burks for, I wouldn't trade a lot to get him, but I guess I really wouldn't mind having him back. Obviously,
I thought, yeah, when he wasn't playing point guard, I thought he was great. He was exactly what the Knicks needed in this series.
yeah. I mean, especially now that we have an actual point guard that's locked in, like, Burks going to be on the bench.
Yeah.
What do you think of RJ from the whole playoffs? He obviously first 2 games of the playoffs he was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
From there until game 5 of the playoffs against Miami, he was pretty awesome.
Game
and then
4.
he sucked in game 6.
He wasn't good in game 5 either, really.
He was I forgot his numbers from game 5. I thought he was decent. He got over 20 points, right?
Pretty sure he was bad, but anyway, he had a nice stretch. He definitely looked like he took a little bit of a leap. Overall, I was impressed. Even the closeout game where he was 1 for 10, he did get 10 free throws. So
8 of them in the first quarter.
8 of them in the first quarter. I don't know why he stopped being. He got in foul trouble, and it seemed like it threw his whole game off.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot there were. I think the Knicks were thrown off by all the foul calls like in the second quarter, and then guys were. I don't know how it could affect them on offense, but like everything like just like started falling apart for the Knicks when the foul started being called.
I think the extender really just shook the Knicks and with all the fouls, and it threw them off their game.
Do you think the Knicks are? We usually like are like the Knicks are like so far off from being a contender, and like we're just like I don't know when they're ever going to be a contender. Do you think they're pretty close now?
I was wrong. Barrett was 8 for 17 in the.
Yeah, I didn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Are the Knicks kind of? I feel like the Knicks are a lot closer than we've been in the last 20 years.
Well, yeah, but that's a low bar.
I mean, being a Knicks fan is a low bar at this point, but yeah, we are like so. Tibbs, a lot of fans want him fired.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Jay. Has there ever been a Knicks coach who's been fired after having a season where he was better than the previous season?
Has there hasn't been many Knicks coaches who've had a good season. You could say Woodson.
I don't think any Knicks coach. So he was fired after they won the 54 games. Then they were pretty bad the following season, and then he was fired.
Yeah.
Every coach that generally gets fired after doing poorly. This would be I believe with doing minimal research, I believe this would be the first time in Knicks history a coach would be fired when he improved the team.
Jeff Van Gundy.
When was he fired? What was he coming off of? I forget what year he was fired.
I think didn't he quit? I thought he quit like out of nowhere in the middle of the season.
I mean, he didn't send a fax like Riley. But I guess the bigger point.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess basically the point is the Knicks were 10 games better than the previous season. The Knicks made the second round of the playoffs, had a legitimate shot of winning that series, and Knicks fans want him fired. 2 of the last 3 years they've gone to the playoffs. He was coach of the year in his first year. Whatever faults you have, it's insane to fire him at this point.
I think so. I mean, it's not unprecedented. I mean, look at Nick Nurse.
What do you mean? Like all the guys that were fired, Nick Nurse, I mean, first of all, like too many guys are fired after winning the title, but Nick Nurse, like Toronto was terrible this year. And like they're like at least they had a bad season.
Yeah,
and
it's just weird. Like you
fired...
don't get any grace for winning a championship.
I can't believe. Like I really feel like you should get like a 5-year grace if you win a title. It's absurd that you don't.
Bud's gone. You know, I get
Bud is gone. The same like what is it? His brother died like a week beforehand, and they canned him.
And Giannis like either missed or was hobbled for most of the Philly series.
Also, Johnson seemed to even care about winning the series. Post-game press conference. There's more to life. You're paid to win the goddamn basketball game.
Yeah.
It's not a failure. When you look at the long run, shut the fuck up. It's basketball. I don't care about your big life lesson here.
Doc Rivers is fired, although
again, he made to the play. 4 years in a row, they went to the semifinals. He wasn't getting it done.
If you're an NBA coach and you see Harden coming to your team, do you immediately just start applying to other teams? Like, there's no chance you're staying on not getting fired. Like,
I noticed you put your house up for sale. You said we traded for Harden, so just seemed like it was a no-brainer. I mean, the housing market's not amazing right now. I want to give myself a lot of lead time, but the season hasn't started. I know where it's going.
The Suns fired Monty,
but again, underperformed. Also traded for Durant. Like teams that underperformed, I understand why they fired their coach. And also sometimes you have personalities. Like I'm sure Durant would have fired him anyway.
I like how these owners like mess up a team and then blame the coach. It's like, hey, I'm going to give you 0 depth and no backup point guard, and your injury-prone point guard's going to get injured again, and then you're fired.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, Durant did the Nets a favor. He helped them start the rebuild because he wasn't taking them anywhere. And now Phoenix. When does Devin Booker ask out?
I don't know. Maybe like, do you say
I will trade every draft pick we have left to get Devin Booker? I'm down for that.
Do you say if you're Phoenix, like we still have Durant, we still have Booker, like let's just run it back and see what happens?
Absolutely. You
don't think there's a problem with Ayton?
I mean, you might make some moves, but like you have Booker, you have Durant, you're going to try to figure it out from here.
Chris Paul might have, one more good year before he gets injured in the playoffs.
Chris Paul's already planning surgery for the next year's playoffs.
I know you're free in January. Can we schedule that for like April, May-ish?
Well, you don't think you're going to be doing anything in May? Nothing important. Yeah, anyway, what do you feel about Tibbs? Should the Knicks run it back with him?
So Tiana says Tibbs hates young players, the rotation still sucks, and the offensive philosophy is non-existent, and the defense was suspect.
So, all legit complaints. The defense wasn't so suspect against Cleveland. They took another young team and ripped their hearts out. So Tibbs was a good coach in that series. He just got out coached by Spo and a veteran team.
I mean, the offense does kind of stink. On the other hand, it's a roster with like nobody shooting well. So like,
Right. You didn't
what can
give
you
Tibbs
do?
an amazing shooting roster. He turned that team into the third, I think tied for third in offensive rating in the NBA. While it wasn't the most creative offense, according to offensive rating, we were a pretty good offense.
Yeah, I still don't like it. You watch other teams and they move the ball around so well, and the Knicks have like no ball movement. I don't like it.
Right, but I think that it's that. Do you think you take another coach, put him on the Knicks, and something they figure out the ball movement? It might just be the part of it might just be the roster.
I think it's more the system. I
I mean,
don't.
there might be maybe there's ball movement if guys can hit shots. Maybe we're open to passing the ball if anyone can knock down an open shot.
Yeah, I don't buy into the Tibbs hate to the young guys. He benched Rose and Fournier, and he didn't play one guy over 30. So
I mean, I think he answered every critique you had of him before the season. Like he kind of answered that this year, and like he tried new things this year.
so
I'm not saying so. I'm not saying Tibbs is not a flawed coach. I think this is just a benefit to continuity. Spo's been the coach of the Miami Heat for the last like what 15 years. I think there's a benefit to having the same coach for a while. I mean, how many years has it been? It's been a lot of years.
15.
Not 15, maybe. Like,
yeah, no, it's been 15.
yeah. I think there's a benefit to having not that Tibbs should be the coach for the next 15 years, but we don't need to keep changing coaches at least until we underperform for a year.
We're nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. Jonathan writes, "Hey guys, I've been a fan of Randall since he's been here. No one can deny that he's an all-star and an all-NBA talent. But man, his 2 playoffs has been terrible. Fans are going crazy about trading him. And because of his terrible play in the playoffs, I'm okay if we trade him, but only if we could get someone better, which Obi is not it. That's the hardest part. Thoughts?"
Yeah, I agree completely. I'm just saying it's going to be hard to upgrade from Randall or find someone equivalent. Jeremy Grant is maybe an interesting name. What do you think of? So some names have been thrown around, by the way, for players. Some of the big names, like the reflexively people like New York media immediately mentions. What do you think about the Knicks getting Towns?
No. Towns, 5 years from now, Towns has a player option for $62 million. He also has a 10% trade kicker, which means that it's actually $68 million 5 years from now.
I think people were saying like, if you don't like Randall's low energy, wait till you see Towns on the court.
Yeah, it's like, we're not happy with Randall. What if we got Randall with a slightly better 3-point shot for triple the money?
Wait, what if we got a guy who, all the tendencies you hate about Randall, he's worse with? Like Jimmy Butler just beat us. The guy he called soft as baby shit when he played with him, that's the guy you want to get.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a... Tibbs also... I don't think it makes sense. What do you think about Dame?
I don't think the Knicks have a good history getting guys in their mid-30s. I just don't.
But what if it's a point guard who's 5 foot tall? What do you think?
What if he also plays the same position as your best player?
I mean, Dame is awesome. I don't think you want 2 guards that size if you want to win.
We have a long off season, so let's save all of this. Let's just go to listener questions.
Okay. Josh writes, do you think it's time to trade Randall, or this is from Facebook. Do you think time to trade Randall, or does he deserve another go? We kind of mentioned that. David writes, here's a question. What do you see in that photo? I posted a photo of the Knicks. I see a player geared up, excited for the next challenge, close to 2 of his teammates, but who are impressed and inspired by 3 guys. Then I see it. What picture did I post? God damn it. Let me find this picture real quick. So I can't have him describing a picture and not mention what the picture was. And so I posted a picture of...
It's Brunson, Barrett, Grimes, and Randall.
Well, thank you, Jay. You're kind of slow on that answer. Then I see another dude who's a low. It's basically bashing Randall, right?
So it's Grimes, Barrett, and Brunson kind of close together, and Randall's off to the side. He is raising his fist, so it looks like he's celebrating, but he does have his back to the other 3.
I mean, is it that maybe Randall needs to do more like meditation, maybe some therapy, something to kind of get him. Maybe he needs to like some kind of personal mantra, and maybe that will get him through it.
maybe this will be chip on the shoulder season.
Yeah. George responded, I'm convinced that he has mental health battles, and when it comes to the big stage, it gets better of him. Knicks need a second guy to go to help Brunson. He should be the focal point. I still believe if you can get Mikal Bridges, he's our guy. I love Mikal Bridges. Do you think if Randall's your third guy, because right now Brunson's our first guy, if we ever get a number 2, do you think Randall is a third guy? Maybe Randall becomes a much more useful player?
If he buys into it, yes. Right now, I feel like Randall thinks he's the number 1 guy.
David writes, they're just kind of going back and forth. Let me find another question here. David writes, genuine question. What do you think was the reason for IQ's non-performance in the playoffs that he did play in? Obviously, he missed the last 2 games with an injury. What do you think? Why do you think IQ sucked?
First playoffs. He's a young guy. It's his first playoffs. He might have got the yips. I mean, it happens to a lot of young guys. You see them.
Like it happened to Quentin Grimes and Obi Toppin and every other young guy in the Knicks.
Yeah.
Tibbs said, hey, we're not going to have a formal shoot around. Well, what do you think about that, first of all? Should they have a formal shoot around?
Why should they practice shooting? They were so good all series.
I mean, I think basically the idea was everyone was injured. Let's give guys, let's not make it any worse. And also, a lot of guys were horrible for this series, including Brunson, who was goddamn awesome. Brunson said, we're not having a formal shoot around. So he went with his dad and had his own shoot around because he was like, fuck this. I need to keep playing.
Brunson's awesome.
Brunson's goddamn awesome. I don't know. Other guys might have played also, but they just, I do know they reported that Brunson was like, I need to practice. Kyle writes, who should we trade Randall for? Going to be a big question this whole offseason.
Yeah, this is going to be questions every episode for the next 5
Daryl
months.
writes, let's give Randall playing injured, Hart as well, and IQ. Barrett in the last game, an unfortunate no-show, yet we got so close to the sheer will and skill of Brunson. If they run it back, can it be better without so many injuries? Starters in the playoffs, or is this their limit? So basically, current roster, if they just run it back, have they already reached their ceiling, or can they be better with the current roster?
They could be better. I mean, it's a young team. They can all get better. The question is, like, next year, Harrow's back. So, like, are the Knicks better than you could say, with improvement for IQ Grimes and Barrett, the Knicks will be better. But will they be better than the Heat with Harrow?
Or will they be better than the Sixers or the Bucks?
They'll be better than the Sixers.
They're better than Cleveland. I think Brunson has taken them to the next level where we are. I don't know. Like, we're not at the, like, we're past, like, are we going to be a playoff team? The question, we're a lock to be in the playoffs. Now we have to take the next leap. But we're close.
Yeah.
Anthony writes, do you guys think the Knicks go for a home run move this offseason or keep building and make smaller moves overall? It's a good question.
It is. I think they are positioned for either. And if there's a surprise star that says they want out, the Knicks
Devin Booker, ask out.
The Knicks are ready to jump on it. But I don't think they're going to do what they did in the past and make a move just to make a move. So,
Jay, is this an original thought, or did you get that from your ESPN Insider 5-on-5 article?
They did like barely even mention the Knicks that whole time. So I think they're going to stay the course unless something unexpected happens. But it is the NBA, and the unexpected probably will happen. Somebody's going to ask out, and the Knicks will be right there.
I think Leon should have the mindset that we're going to try to win the title in the next 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to win it next year.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a reasonable. That's my guess. You think it's more likely we make a big move or a smaller move, like improve the bench, or I guess here's Jay: are we more likely to have a different bench player next year or a different starter?
I'd say bench player.
You don't think the starting lineup's changing?
If it is, if it is, I think they made a bigger move.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And by the way, any concern that iHeart and Mitchell Robinson barely showed up in the Miami series? Again, they were awesome. They ate Cleveland's lunch, but they weren't so great against Miami.
Yeah, I don't know. They
Young
all play
team.
bad though, so you can't. It's hard to judge.
Nomad writes quickly for Gary Trent on a sign and trade. Who says no? Oh, IQ for Gary Trent. Team needs more shooting. What do you think?
It's intriguing. I haven't seen a lot of Trent. Is he all right on defense? Like, I don't want to get
He's
significantly
decent
worse
on defense, and he's a good shooter. I don't know that the Raptors do this, but I would be intrigued.
Yeah, I would listen.
Mr. Robbie Carter writes, "What is Tom Thibodeau's status? Will Julius Randle be traded?" Sabal writes, "Knicks lost because of their coach. You think they lost because of their coach?"
No, I think they lost because none of them could shoot.
I'm pretty sure they lost because of their coach, because their coach said that, guys, miss every shot. I'm telling you, the strategy will work.
Also, get a lot of touch fouls called on you.
Base Nick fan writes.
So anyway, Tibbs is safe. Tibbs is safe. He's not getting fired.
Yeah.
He would have been
Where
fired
this-
already.
I think there's no chance. I mean, there's a chance Randall gets traded. There's 0% chance that Thibodeau gets traded.
He would have been fired already. Look how quickly Philly fired Doc. That's the way it works.
Yeah, that's true. Word in the street is Randall isn't a good fit with Brunson. Would you mind getting rid of him for KP? First off, before we even mention the KP aspect, do you think Randall's a bad fit with Brunson? Do you have any reason to believe that?
A little bit. It seems
Why?
like they just take turns doing iso ball. Like,
I mean, Brunson, I love Brunson, but he's a little more of an ISO heavy point guard to begin with.
right, and then you got an iso heavy forward. It's not great.
I don't think I don't think there's any like personality issues.
No. I'm talking about on the court. Like, just them taking turns doing isos isn't the best offensive scheme.
Fair. Okay. And then would you trade, let's just say you could trade Randall straight up for KP. Would you do it, Jay?
No, I don't trust KP's health at all. I know, like, on paper, you're like, okay, it's a forward who can defend a little bit and has an outside shot, but I don't trust his health at all.
And if he was healthy, I still want, I know Randall was terrible in the playoffs. I think Randall's just tougher than KP. I think KP would get pushed around and wouldn't be that great in the playoffs either.
KP's a little soft.
I mean, also you look at guys like people were saying like, what about Kyle Kuzma? I know Kuzma had a pretty decent regular season, but so did Randall. I mean, do you have any faith that Kuzma would be awesome in the playoffs?
I don't know. Have we seen Kuzma? I don't think we've even seen Kuzma though.
I don't know. Has he been in the playoffs? I'm not positive.
Sure.
Base Nick fan writes, Jay, can you admit Melo is better than Randall? I think
Yes.
Jay, you got to admit this.
Yes, I can admit that.
Okay. You're good on that. Melo is better than Julius Randall.
Yes, Kuzma has
Melo may not have been the amazing defensively, but he always showed up offensively in the playoffs.
Did you know Kuzma was the bubble champion? Oh no. He was
Was he on that Laker team?
He won in 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, in the Laker team. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how he played in that series because I don't know offhand, but
43% from the field, 31 from 3. He averaged 10. I mean, this is 3 years ago, and he looks like he's gotten a lot better since.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't know if he's like your starting power forward. Fine, he's not bad either.
He's got that Kardashian curse. I don't want any Kardashian Jenner curse near us.
And Tsunami writes, since this is Jalen's team, do you think he liked Randall's effort in the playoffs? You think he sits down with the front office to make changes? Do you think Jalen Brunson now has the ability to go to the front office and go tell them this is to dictate moves? Is he a star that can dictate moves the team makes?
Is Brunson a star that can dictate moves that the team makes?
Yeah, I mean, like guys throw their weight around. LeBron could dictate what the Lakers do. Is he gotten to the point? Is he good enough where like he's like throwing his weight around?
Yeah, I think they should run everything past him.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's terrible.
You don't think they should run moves past their star point guard before they make them?
I think you can't let your star player be your GM.
No,
I think when LeBron tries to be the GM in, I think in Cleveland,
well,
didn't work out. I don't
there's a
think you can have a
difference-
player be your GM. I think that's crazy.
there's a difference between LeBron saying, "Bring me this player," and you going to Brunson saying, "How would you feel about us bringing this player in?" It's
I mean,
it's a different.
are you giving a veto? Are you like Brunson now like controls the team? He's now Leon Rose's boss.
You wouldn't want to keep your star happy.
I want to keep him happy, but I feel like you don't need also like he's got to trust that Leon Rose and company can build a good team around him. There's no reason. Also, he's gotten zero. There's no evidence that Leon Rose won't do a good job for him. Like his year one, the team was in the second round of the playoffs. I feel like he should trust management.
No, I think you always confer with your star players before you make a huge move.
Didn't seem like there was that much conferring when they got Josh Hart.
Well, that's
He
his
seemed
best
pretty happy
friend.
with that
Obviously,
move.
he's gonna say yes. That was a pleasant surprise.
That would have been weird if he was like, "God damn, I didn't like him in Villanova. It sucks."
Right.
I don't think he knew. I'm sure you maybe you ask your players for certain, maybe like, what do you think of that guy? But that should be management's call.
Of course, they get final say. I'm not saying treat it like LeBron, where he says he like makes demands, but you know,
I mean,
if you're
it seemed like when they brought Brunson here, they kind of they wanted Randall's buy-in. I mean,
Right,
they took him to the game.
I would call Bronson and be like, look, we're thinking of bringing in Zach LaVine. What do you think? And if he's like, I hate playing with Zach, he's a dick, like, then you probably don't do the move. I don't think that's outrageous.
I think it's outrageous if the Knicks make that call because that means they're considering Zach LaVine.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's a really I don't want Zach LaVine. I don't want Zach LaVine. I don't want Karl Anthony Towns. I don't want Dame Lillard. I don't want any of the I heard someone on the radio say the Knicks should bring in Fred VanVleet, and it was like, why do you want a guy that's slightly worse than Brunson, who is the same size?
Right.
It's not. It's. I'd rather get some guys who make more sense for this roster. CJ McCollum, you go for him?
Again, with the guys in their 30s.
Yeah. Kawhi, he's never injured. I don't know. It's not that easy. There's a challenge ahead. But I like where we are. Jay, if you had to give this Leon Rose a grade for the season, a letter grade, what would you give him?
I would give him a B plus.
A B plus. He solved our point guard after 20 years without a solid point guard. He got us a star player after he got us the first legitimate star player in 10 years, at least since Melo.
Mm-hmm.
You give him a B plus. He got us the second round of the playoffs. Team's an upward trajectory. Lots of draft picks.
B plus.
You only get the B plus?
Grade. It's a very good grade.
Okay, I feel you can give an A minus. You're grading on a shitty curve there. What do you get? What grade do you give Tibbs?
I give Tibbs a solid B.
A B.
Mm-hmm.
Again, second round of the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
third in offensive rating. The team played their hearts out for him,
Mm-hmm.
and he gets a B.
Yeah.
Man, you must be a goddamn.
B is a very
Brunson.
good grade.
What do you give Brunson on the season? He gets an A, right?
He gets an A plus. Yeah.
Okay. What do you give Julius Randle, Jay?
Are we including the playoffs, or are we doing like an?
We're
MVP?
including everything, Jay. We're including everything. Even the fact that after the game he hugged his wife, which was like controversial.
I'm gonna give Randall a. He was like an A in the regular season. He was like a D in the playoffs. So, what do you call that?
B plus, somewhere in the middle.
B minus, maybe.
Nah.
I gotta weigh the playoffs more than the regular season.
Yeah, I know, but he's a solid enough, and he's a solid B. I think anything lower than B is you're giving some Randall hate there.
I might be.
Okay. What do you give Barrett? The opposite, I guess. He was kind of a mediocre regular season, but he stepped up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Part of the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, around the same as Randall, I guess a B.
IQ?
These guys are so hard. They had such opposite regular seasons and playoffs. They're killing me.
Yeah.
IQ would have got probably like a minus for the regular season, like a D in the playoffs.
B?
B minus. Yeah.
B. Okay. Josh Hart.
Josh Hart, I would probably give an A minus based on expectations. He was better than expected in the regular season. He was good in the Cleveland series.
He's really good in the Cleveland series.
And he had like one or two okay games against the Heat. Maybe
What
one.
What do you give Mitch?
Mitch, I'll give a B plus. I feel like we can't knock him too much for his lack of offense because he's not like they never pass to him like ever. That might be because he has no idea what to do when he gets the ball.
No, he does. He's like, I get the ball, I get fouled, I miss 2 free throws, and repeat.
Hey, in the last 2 games, he was hitting them.
He had 4 for 6 when they went with the hack a Mitch.
Yeah. I did not like Randall getting right under the net and then trying to do like a wraparound pass to Mitch, but throwing it 90 miles an hour at his ankles. It's like
Sometimes they get too cute, or just like there's too many guys that are trying to pass. Get the pass to Mitch has to be above his shoulders.
right. Yeah, I saw people saying like Mitch can't catch anything, and I'm thinking like if somebody throws a ball 90 miles an hour at my ankles, I'm not catching it either. Like
It's also,
especially
you
when
really
you're not
don't-
expecting it coming. Mitch is ready for the rebound, and Randall's throwing it at his feet.
The ball you cannot throw it below the waist to a big. It
Yeah.
never works out.
Never.
What do you think of iHeart?
Pretty good. B.
B.
B. Yeah. There's a lot of B's.
Obi.
C plus. B minus.
Yeah, sounds about. I think he was very mediocre in the playoffs. He wasn't that amazing during the regular season.
Yeah.
And McBride.
C.
C plus.
Yeah.
Last question, Jay. Do you think the Heat series would have come out differently if the coach played the Knicks' all-time leader for most threes in a season?
I know you posted that on Twitter as like one of your stupidest takes that you've heard.
Yeah.
They shot so bad in the Heat series. It actually got me wondering, like, what if Fournier could have gone in there and hit a couple threes?
I would have felt a little better if at any moment during the season if Evan Fournier had one good game in the entire regular season from 3, I would have been comfortable playing with him.
Mm-hmm.
He did not have a single real good game the entire season. He just was off the whole season. I think he was. There were times last year where like he went off against Boston. I think twice he went off against Boston. There were times when he went off. He's just off this year, and part of it's probably from lack of like playing time. But I feel like to throw him out there with limited regular season playing time into a crucial playoff series wasn't gonna work out. And I know it worked out for Miami with Duncan Robinson. I also think Duncan Robinson might be a better 3-point shooter than Fournier.
I mean, Fournier is a career 38% 3-point shooter.
He is, but how was he this year?
30.
He looked every time the Knicks brought him out to play, he looked off.
Yeah, he did.
His shot looked broken this year.
And you know, if he brought Fournier out and Fournier was bad, Tibbs would have been fired.
I don't know if he would have been fired, but he would have been like the fans would have been like, and he played Fournier. How could he play Fournier? This is terrible. We would have criticized it either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
right.
We got a long off season. We may not be doing shows every week anymore. We'll do it when there's Knick content.
Yeah. nyknickspodcast@gmail.com, nyknickspodcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon. The New York Knicks podcast.com is our website. And you could subscribe on anywhere podcasts are available. Leave us a review. That would be cool.
Anywhere, Jay?
Anywhere. Doesn't matter.
Anywhere. What if they're available in China? Can I go to China? What if they're available on the moon, Jay?
Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You cannot go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone.
Thanks for joining, everybody, and we'll see you soon. We have another
Yeah.
podcast, The Rink of Sanity. You can check that out, rinkofsanityshow.com. We'll be doing that soon, too.
Yeah, we'll do that soon, and we'll be back soon. I don't know. Maybe we'll do another playoff show, or maybe we'll just wait till closer to the off season. June's not far away, so
Yeah, we'll see.
see how we're feeling.
Yep.
I don't think nothing's going to really happen in Knicks world for the next couple of weeks, right?
Right. All right, we'll see. If something big happens, we'll be back.
But we'll be back right before the off season should be obviously